I've known you for over 25 years,
Yeah.
and there's a lot I know about you, but there's a lot I don't know about you, right? So I'd want to start with your background in the military, because that's something that I don't think a lot of people know about you, right?
Yeah, it was 5 years of my life, but yeah, that's correct. Right out of high school, I joined the military as a military police officer. Basically, wanted to serve my country and travel the world. And things happened that led me down a path of ended up becoming a criminal investigator. So, if you've ever seen the early stages, Johnny Depp, 21 Jump Street, that's basically what I did in the military. I bought and sold drugs legally.
And specifically what I want to know is why 18 years old, right? Why did you go into the military? Because was it just something that happened? Was it a monumental choice that you felt at the time? Young man, this is something I feel passionate about, I want to do, I want to serve my country. What led, what ramped up to the moment where you went into the military? What's the reason for that?
Well, I was a teen father. I had my son when I was 18 years old. And when I joined the military, my son was only a couple months old. And I was a full-time student in high school and working 2 full-time jobs. And at the time, the military was an end to that. It was a way for us to get out of that world and, living paycheck to paycheck and not having benefits and providing for my family and having a better opportunity for my son. And it did that. It gave me a way out. Got to travel the world, make money doing it, but more importantly, gain experience and discipline that I wouldn't have gotten anywhere else.
Did you feel like you didn't have discipline before you joined?
No, I had discipline. I grew up in a military family. My dad was in the
Oh, I didn't know that.
was in the Army for 22 years. So
What was your father? What was his division?
he was an MP.
Okay.
And a drill sergeant. So when I was a kid, he got to wear the brown round and practice at home, yelling at us kids for doing stupid stuff. And so I grew up in that environment. So I had discipline, but I'm talking more like discipline as an adult, like showing up to things on time, taking things as serious as they need to be, doing what you say you're going to do. If you tell somebody you're going to do something, you're going to do it. And discipline as in providing for my family. I was 18 years old. I had a newborn. I just graduated high school. Like when my son was born, I was in high school.
Did you feel that if you joined the military, it would give you the discipline you needed as a man that you had not yet had as a boy? Were you worried that if you didn't get that somewhere, that you wouldn't be able to take care of your kid, your family? As simple as that sounds, I mean.
Yeah, no, it makes perfect sense. I think a good explanation of it would be that it provided me the discipline I needed to be a father. I had this massive fear of letting my son down as he continued to grow and learn the world. And the last thing I wanted is for my son not to have some of the most simple things in life, and I want to be able to provide those things. Like if he got hurt, could I afford to take him to the hospital? Could I afford to take him to the doctor? If he needed braces, could I afford to get him braces? Things like that nature. And granted, he's a newborn at the time, but those are all the things that go through your mind when you're a brand new father.
You had a good dad.
Mm-hmm.
Why is that fear there? Where did that come from?
Failure. I would say I had a fear of failure.
Did you find at any point after you joined the military, whether it was immediate, or a year in or 2 years in or whatever, did you find what you were seeking, right?
So if you've ever seen any movies or stories where somebody gets 3 wishes and genie's like, just careful what you wish for.
Aladdin, right?
Yeah. Yes, it solved that problem. I was
How so?
I was able to provide for my family. And, in the military, you get medical benefits and basically, as long as you lived a good life as a soldier, then You're going to get all the benefits that come with being that, pay, consistency, housing, medical, food, all of that. It basically takes all those worries off your table. My relationship with my son, started to grow apart because I wasn't there. I was serving in the military for a year and a half. I was actually in the military for 5 years, but there was a year and a half where I was not around at all.
What's the shortest period of time you were gone, and what was the longest period of time you'd be gone on any tour or anything?
16, 17 months. Yeah.
A year and a half.
Mm-hmm.
A lot.
Yeah. And, when your son is a newborn, that's a crucial time. A lot of people say, well, they won't remember that. But truth is they do, because those are the times where they're learning who their parents are. They're learning what their hands are, how to walk, how to talk. They're learning their day-to-day environment.
Yeah.
And you're not there for them. So yes, I was now able to provide my family, but I also was non-existent.
Yeah, and that's a critical point because it's a developmental period where even if people can't articulate things subconsciously, you store information because you feel something. There's energy.
Absolutely.
And even though if you don't know what bothers you, that doesn't discount that something does.
Correct.
So, yeah, it makes a difference. But so how did you remedy that? Or did you remedy that? Or what was the effect of that?
And at the time, it was extremely painful. It's like when you're younger and you find that one person that you fall in love with and you're like, oh, it's the end of the world if, now you're not together. And then something else happens. Like I met my wife that I've been with for 20 years now. And I would have never met her and had that love and had my 2 daughters that came after had I not gone through that pain in the beginning. So now I have my son and I have 2 beautiful daughters at the same time with the woman I've been with for 20 something years. So yes, you solve one problem, creates what you think is another problem, but is it end up being a problem, or is it just a step that you have to go through in order to get to where you want to be?
But looking back at things, do you think you could have made a better decision?
I've never really entertained that idea because there is no going back. Could I have made different choices? Absolutely. Would I have ended up in the military? I don't know. Gone to college instead? Well, there's a lot of people that do it. There's a lot of single teenage parents that decide to go to college and still support their child and, work full time. There's a lot of people out there that are able to do that. That wasn't the path that I chose. And I haven't thought about whether that would be the path I chose. It's never really crossed my mind. Instead, it's how do I make what I have now work?
Kind of working off of what's in front of you from
100%.
Moment to unanticipated moment. Yeah, because you're right. You're talking about reality. Coulda, woulda, shoulda doesn't matter because I think it's amazing that you're one of the few people that I've chatted with that thinks that way, that it just didn't dawn on you, not because you didn't have the ability to think about it. You just didn't because it didn't matter.
Correct.
Right? And we spend so much time, the narrative that we have as human beings constantly running that script in our brains about good or bad, this or that. It's always a lie.
Yeah.
It's never what's in front of us, which robs us of the opportunity to enjoy what is here.
Uh-huh.
You're worried about this, but you got this, right? And it's just a matter of a slight difference, which if you just invest here, you might erase that and find yourself actually being happy, which is incredibly difficult.
Yeah.
What would you say? What did you get out of the military? You went to the military, you were in it 5 years. What did you get out of it? What do you feel was the 2-3 biggest things that it gave you that you didn't have before you went in?
I could list 50 things.
But don't. Give me
we don't have that much time.
Yeah. Give me
So
give me the most important, give me the armatures of it.
The military gave me a sense of purpose. It gave me a vision for the future, but it allowed me the opportunity to let my vision mold and change.
Expand on that.
When I joined the military, I had this dream of being in law enforcement. I wanted to be a cop, and I got the opportunity to do that. I was a military police officer. I got to patrol the streets, pull people over, all that kind of stuff, and do what I thought I wanted to do. Then I got recruited to go work on the drug suppression team for the Criminal Investigations Division, which is like the FBI of the Army.
Okay.
Very, very rare. that happens. In fact, there's usually only 3 people out of, I don't know, 5 or 6 states that get selected. I was one of the 3. So I legally got a chance to buy and sell drugs. That's what I did. And for years, I thought that that's what I wanted to do long term. So because of it, I got a chance to work with DEA agents, FBI agents, local law enforcement. We were, going to rave parties.
For free.
And throughout my time in the military, what I discovered is that the military, while it taught me a lot of things and it gave me a lot of things, it provided me tons of opportunity, it didn't define me. What defined me was who I was. And my dream had always been to have children and to, live the family life and be able to provide for them and things of that nature. So when it came time to get out of the military, that's what I did. I decided to get out.
So once that time ended, do you automatically know what you want to do, or were you just kind of floating and
had no clue?
Okay,
really no clue. But
so you had no next step. You were just coming out, but you don't know where you're going.
Well, I had a next step, but
what was that?
I took a job as a personal trainer. I was really big into fitness.
All right.
Typical young, cocky, like I'm in shape and I'm now on top of the world. I had abs. So I figured,
have abs, we'll travel.
I'm gonna make that work, right? So no, I had this wonderful idea that I knew exactly what I was doing. Truth is once I became a personal trainer, I figured out how much I didn't know.
So it was arrogance driving you.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was.
Okay.
I had to humble myself quickly and start asking other people how they were making being a trainer and being in that environment successful, and how they were basically supporting themselves, because I wasn't able to support myself as a trainer. First 6 months as a personal trainer, I literally sold nothing. I think the only reason I ended up surviving is I happened to get on board with a company that was expanding. They were going from 6 trainers into a very large facility and needed 70. And I was one of the new 70 trainers. So I got lost in the woods because had it been a smaller environment, they would have quickly identified that this guy doesn't know what he's doing. And I would have been gone.
How did you get out of that? How did you get out of, I don't know nearly as much as I thought I did.
So remember that fear of failure I was mentioning earlier, right?
Yeah.
That same fear drove me to want to be better at what I did. I didn't want to show up to work every day and go, gosh, man, I suck at this. So I hired a coach.
Hired a coach for what?
Teach me how to sell.
Sales coach. Okay.
Thing is I had all this knowledge in my head about how to get in shape, how to stay in shape, how to eat right, how to exercise. And the problem was I was vomiting all of that knowledge onto every single person that potentially wanted to hire me. And so what I did is I hired a sales coach, because if I can't sell, I can't get clients. If I don't have clients, I'm not a good trainer. I got to be able to have clients in order to help people, right? And so that sales coach mentored me, and I picked up a mentor as well. And literally I went to them with everything. Like, I tried this, it didn't work. I tried that, it didn't work. And they're like, listen, you're putting too much thought into it.
How long were you training with this individual to get up to speed to do that?
Probably about a year.
That was pretty lengthy.
A year in total. I started seeing success immediately, because I was able to make on the spot adjustments, right? I would go to them and here's what I did and it didn't work. And he's like, don't do that. Instead, simplify it. Do this. Why? He basically would wind me up and send me back in.
Was that one of the keys of what this person taught you? Simplification?
100%. That's keep it simple, stupid, right?
Yeah.
The KISS principle.
Even in art, it's like that simplicity is universal, whereas complexity sometimes is forced, because natural complexity is also simplified on a smaller and grander scale.
Now, granted, this is 20-something years ago as well. So obviously I've evolved a lot since then, but that was the beginning of my journey.
Why do you like sales so much? And why do you like sales? Because you've been doing this a long time. Why do you like it when so many people can't stand it, can't stand doing it, can't stand being sold to? Why do you do it? And what does it mean to you? Why is it meaningful?
In order to answer that question, I want to first say that I believe people do like to be sold.
Okay.
But they like to be sold ethically. They don't want to be lied to. They don't want to be weaseled into something. They don't want to be made to believe something that's not true, and that's why they bought it, and then find out later that it didn't do what we told them it was going to do. That's not sales. That's lying.
Yeah.
But when you sell ethically and you sell with a purpose and you're using true good intentions, and you're telling the truth, then I do believe that people like being sold. People want to be sold.
What do you like about it?
I like helping people.
The core of it?
If you really break down like what you sell, you're probably, if you're selling something that you believe in, you probably are selling something that helps someone.
And maybe even helped you first, and that's why you want to share it?
Well, I mean, it could help you first, yes. Not always, right? Like, what if I'm selling a Lamborghini and I can't afford to buy a Lamborghini?
I think everybody needs a Lamborghini.
Right?
That's just my opinion. So you're saying if you do that, it's not sales, it's a con.
Correct.
You've conned someone.
100%.
Manipulation.
If you're lying to sell something, you're not a salesman, you're a liar.
But there's a lot of liars.
There's a lot of liars.
This is the thing. That's why I'm asking that question.
Correct.
Because they're masquerading under this title has been perverted, well, probably since the beginning of time.
Correct.
So that's why I ask you your definition.
The worst part about it is most of those people march around like they're the best at what they do. They're the best salesmen. Like, I make a lot of money because I'm able to sell things. No, you make a lot of money because you lie to people.
But that's just ego.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? That's grandiose ego. It's more about me than it is about you, right? Even though you're the client, you're the person paying for this product or service. I don't care how you feel. I care about how your purchase makes me feel, which is the opposite. Arrogance and confidence sound similar, but they're...
A true salesman is somebody who first is focused on helping the other person.
Yeah.
Whatever that challenge is.
Is that why you do it?
It's exactly why I do it.
So you like to help people. But the reason I'm pushing you on this is because everybody says that, right? That's an easy sentence to say. I like to help people.
It is.
But that's cheap to say. It's rarely true, right? Because intent and your mouth running are two different things.
That's correct.
Do you feel that that's one of your purposes when you help someone do that? What does that give you?
It makes you feel good. It gives you peace of mind. I can put my head on my pillow at night and rest knowing that I helped somebody.
I want to jump to... There are two critical points in your life. 2009. Could we jump to 2009?
Sure, yeah.
What happened that year?
Quit my job.
Oh, okay.
I quit my job.
Was that eventful?
It was probably one of the second or third most eventful times of my life, yes.
What'd you do when you quit?
I decided to start a boot camp in a parking lot of a middle school at 5:30 in the morning.
That's very military of you.
A fitness boot camp. Minus the brown round and the cursing and yelling at people.
You should have had some of those.
You think?
You could have traumatized a few people. It would have been really cool. They would have remembered you forever. You would have been like Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Probably closer to Anakin.
Yeah. So?
It went well.
Why'd you do it? Let's pretend you're in court.
So, essentially, I was the national vice president of sales for a very large fitness company. And in 2009, right in the heat of the economy crashing, people losing their homes, left and right, people losing their jobs, I decided to quit mine. I was basically doing the opposite of what everybody else was doing.
Okay.
And I did this because I had a member walk into the gym one day, clearly upset because they needed to cancel their membership. They'd been with us 5 or 6 years, something like that. And when I asked him what was going on, he was very adamant that he wanted to stay, but that he had just lost his job a couple of weeks before. And he was planning on keeping his membership, but the challenge was that 2 days prior to that, his wife also lost her job. So now they both were unemployed, trying to basically find a way to survive. And naturally, they decided to make some cuts, the gym being one of them. So I did what I felt was right, and that was to offer him his membership for free. So
for how long?
6 months.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah, I told him.
That was nice of you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in my mind, he was loyal. He'd been with us for a while, and a lot of people were going through the same thing. So I offered his membership to him for free for 6 months. Told
Were
him,
you the GM at the time?
no, I was the vice president of sales.
Okay. Got it.
I wanted him to focus on getting a job. I wanted him to focus on being fit, staying fit, and not having to think about whether he could afford his gym membership. So told him just to go worry about those things and not to worry about his gym, that we would take care of it for 6 months. At the end of 6 months, if he had got his job back, then we could put him back on billing. If not, then we'll reevaluate and find a different solution for him. And I thought it was the right thing to do. It felt like the right thing to do. But when I went and talked to the board a couple of weeks later, we were having our board meeting like we do every quarter, I got chewed out, told that it wasn't my place to offer our memberships for free, that our product was worth better than free. And that if they couldn't afford it, well, then they needed to go to some place where they could afford. And it just felt dirty. I felt icky. Felt like that just wasn't the feeling I wanted anymore. So told my wife I wanted to quit. We were going to move from Raleigh, North Carolina over to Boise, Idaho. And that's when I decided to start a boot camp, a fitness boot camp in a parking lot.
A fitness boot camp in a parking lot. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Why?
Well,
I wouldn't have showed up. What time did it start at?
5:30 in the morning.
Yeah, I would have been. No, I would have slept
If
in.
I'm being transparent, the main reason
I hope you're being trans.
initially,
What's the point of this?
the main reason I initially did it was because I needed income. I was going from having a job to,
Not having a job.
but I wanted to do something that I felt good about. And I wanted to do something that would help people. Right. So I had this idea to start a boot camp for a couple of years. Couldn't do it at the time because I worked for a large fitness chain. So that would have been a conflict of interest. Now I didn't. No longer there's a conflict of interest, and something I've been dreaming about for a while. So I just did it.
So it's a culmination of having worked for a bunch of people in which your values didn't line up with them, and finally you're just like, screw this, and I'm going to go do it my way.
100%.
How all progress happens.
100%.
All right, so what happened? Did it work?
Wow.
Did it?
It worked very well.
Okay, why?
On the first day, we had 48 people. 48 at a boot camp in a parking lot that nobody had ever heard of before.
With no gear.
Yeah. In fact, it got so popular after the first month, we had to start doing it twice a day. We offered at 5:30 in the morning, and then we offered at 6:30 at night.
Why was it working? Because here's a scene I want to set for people who are listening to this. There's no damn equipment.
No, not at all.
Okay, you're on asphalt, and you're bringing your own stuff. Why are people showing up to this ridiculous situation that you've concocted?
Well, number one, I think it's because we put them in an environment they felt comfortable with. Right? So a lot of people don't want to go to the gym because they're afraid of what other people there might think of them, right? So you go to a gym, you're finding all walks of life. You're finding people who've been working out for 10 years, people that have been working out for 10 minutes, people who are in shape, people who are out of shape, right? When you go to a fitness boot camp, you're basically finding people that are all in similar situations. There's something about themselves that they're trying to change.
But let me ask you this, because if I go to a boot camp, there's people there. I'm going to see people doing stuff in uncomfortable positions, sweating and suffering and all that, and me too. Why? Because you're saying at a gym, there's people watching people, some folks are uncomfortable. Well, wouldn't that happen at a boot camp too?
You're now surrounding yourself with people that are similar to you.
Because more focused, more concentrated.
Right. You all have the same goal in some way, shape, or form. Now,
you're all getting your ass kicked together.
Yeah.
Is that what this is?
So
whereas when you go to a gym, you can do whatever you want.
You're at a gym, right? And you're trying to lose weight. On the machine next to you is a bodybuilder who's not trying to lose weight. They've been working out 10, 15 years, right? And while that bodybuilder may not say anything directly to you, and chances are they probably won't, in your mind, because you're already self-conscious about your body, you're wondering, is that person thinking about me? Is that person thinking about me? Is that person thinking about me?
In the gym, you could do whatever you want. You're an individual. In the boot camp, you're a team.
Correct.
What does that symbolize in your life? Why is 2009 and the boot camp so important?
From there is how we ended up opening our gyms. The boot camp expanded into our gyms, which ultimately is
The start of everything.
correct. So May 2nd, 2015. At the time, I had been battling some pretty massive stomach pain for about 5 years. Well, turns out I had gallbladder disease, which is relatively a very simple thing that people get their gallbladder removed all the time. In fact, I think it's like 1 out of 5 Americans or something like that have their gallbladder taken out. But mine had been infected for 5 years.
No.
And on May 2nd of 2015, it exploded. And
It exploded.
It exploded.
Okay.
To the point where when they went in to do an ultrasound, they couldn't find it. It was like it wasn't even there. So they rushed me into surgery and to take out my gallbladder, but it was in pieces. Now, your gallbladder sits directly underneath your liver, and if you know anything about anatomy, then your liver is like a sponge. That's what it looks like. It has little pores and little crevices and so forth. Well, my gallbladder, when it exploded, the pieces of it were embedded in my liver and places like that. So it took them 4.5 hours to remove my gallbladder pieces.
When were you supposed to go home? Just like the next day?
May 3rd.
One day?
May 3rd, yeah.
So a week is a really long time.
On May 9th, they had gotten my blood work back and had discovered that I had sepsis.
And what's that?
Basically, it's
short version.
Your blood is infected.
Okay,
It's
yeah,
now
right.
starts to kill different parts of your organs, and it usually happens very fast. Well, they had discovered it literally moments, and I mean moments, before it stopped my heart.
You died.
Twice.
Did you die?
Twice.
Did you die?
I did.
Do you feel you died?
I do.
And your wife was told that that happened, and then when you went into a coma, there's a chance you're not going to come out of that.
Correct.
Why, I didn't know this about you. This is interesting to me. You're like a demigod. How do you feel about that today?
The dying part?
What you know about yourself?
The most impactful thing for me was when I woke up 5 days later. My wife had sent our daughters to go stay with my parents. And the last physical memory they have of actually seeing me could have been me dying in front of them. And that is what hurt the most.
Do you even care about yourself? You see,
Well,
I'm
I mean-
interested. But listen, I'm pointing something out to you that I'm making an observation on, because here you are dying. Could we just tell the truth? You're freaking dying, right?
Uh-huh.
And you're worried about somebody else.
Or my kids.
Yeah.
We all have a reason that we do things, right?
So is the driving force in your life your wife and your children, your family?
100%. Huh?
Would you die? I mean, I'm not going to ask you if you would die for them. That's clear. Would you die for them again?
If it meant saving them, yeah, absolutely. What father wouldn't?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what that does to a person.
So think about it like this. The average American, average person works for a company, somebody else.
All right.
You get hired. You got to go to your first day. They have orientation. After orientation, they take you through training. After training, they put you on a floor somewhere or put you in an office somewhere or give you some sort of responsibility to tell you what to do every single day and how to do it.
Yeah, I've seen The Matrix.
Yeah. Basically. There are so many reasons out there that the average person doesn't venture out and start their own dream, start their own business, whether it's to start a mobile car detailing business or start selling cell phone cases on Amazon or building websites for people, whatever it may be, personal training. It could be a million different things, but there's so many different reasons why, because they're so used to having structure from an organization that tells them what to do, when to do it, how to do it. And a lot of people are afraid to take that jump, take that leap, right? They're afraid of failing. They're afraid of putting their own money in and not making a paycheck back. They know now that they can clock in and get a paycheck every week for the 40 hours they worked or whatever it may be, right? So there's so many different reasons that people don't make that jump. What I do is help them understand that it's easier than they think it is. I help them by providing them the tools, the knowledge, the training, the direction, the coaching, the software, basically providing them the tools and opportunities to be able to accomplish their own dreams. You know, how many people haven't started a business because they weren't sure what to do first?
Why does a person not go for what they want? Business or whatever.
Fear.
I want to know, why does that fear, what you have a fear of something, but sometimes we don't do something because we're afraid, and sometimes we rise above the fear. What's the difference? Sometimes you do and sometimes you don't. Why is there no consistency? Why isn't it every time that you're afraid of something, you're not always held back 100% from doing whatever? What's the difference?
So the difference is essentially what the result is that comes from overcoming that fear.
But we never have a result before we start, right? So what gets that person to take the leap of faith?
The desired result has to mean more to you than the fear does.
Yeah.
You're afraid to jump in because you don't know what's going to happen when you hit the water. Because the desired result is greater than the fear.
We're having this conversation. What do you want folks to walk away with? What's important to you for them to remember?
I want people to remember that chasing their dreams is easier than it appears. Biggest thing that's holding you back is your head. So there are people out there like me, and hundreds of other people that help people find direction to chase the dreams that they want.
How does that translate to what you're doing now?
When I'm dealing with a client, okay, I will compare their journey to a football game.
Yeah.
If you have a strong running back, okay, and you're running up the middle and you're getting blocked every single time you run up the middle, you try things like running up the side. What if you get blocked on the side? Well, then you need to have a strong wide receiver or a strong tight end, because now you got to switch to a passing game, right? And you might get intercepted every now and then, but constantly you're having to adapt your plays based on what's going on at that moment, right? So if you are trying to get clients or trying to get customers through Facebook ads or through Instagram or through Google, and you're finding that it's not working, then what do? You try something different. But you need to know how to try that different thing, right? If the product you're pitching, if the service that you're presenting is not going well, is it the way you're presenting it, or is it the service? Is it the level of the salesperson that's selling it, or is it the actual product or service itself, right? So what we do is we teach people how to identify those things. First things first, we teach them how to take that first step. Once they've taken that first step, we teach them that they're going to come across roadblocks and how to overcome those roadblocks, where to go, who to talk to, what to do, what's next. Okay, when you hit a wall here, do you run on the outside or do you start passing the ball? Okay, so that's what we do, is we help them organize a strategy that is essentially going to get them to the result. The end result is clients paying you money for whatever service or product that you are selling or offering, right? That's essentially, a lot of people have this dream of starting a business, right? They had this idea, right? I went and created a website. I created an LLC. I got my EIN, my bank account information, but I have never gotten a client. Well, you don't have a business. You have an idea. Until you're actually supporting yourself, until you're actually supporting somebody else with the revenue and income coming in from your business, it's just an idea. Take the first step. Take the first step in your journey and go start your business.
And find the person who maybe is down that path, who's all they're doing is yelling back at you and saying, hey, on the right side there's a tree, on the left there's a boulder, watch out for this. Guidance. Nobody gets anywhere. You can go on a serendipitous adventure and you'll discover things, but it won't be pinpointed if you have guidance.
You don't have to have all the answers. In fact, you should accept that you're not going to have all the answers. Okay. Do you think when Mark Zuckerberg started Facebook that he knew exactly what Facebook was going to be doing 10 years later? No. When Mark Cuban started his first business, he didn't have all the answers, right? When you look at Elon Musk, he's worth billions of dollars, he didn't have all the answers to exactly what his vision was and what his idea was and how it was going to evolve, right? It evolves every single day, right?
Say that again.
It evolves every single day. The most important thing is that you take the first step Once you take that first step, you'll figure out what the second step is.
Well, there's a saying, I don't know if you heard this, because I want to write up what you said. If you look at a painting in a museum, you see what you see. When you move and you look at it from a different perspective, it's a different painting. Right? It's the same painting, but it's different depending on where you're standing. And you can't see something else until you're standing somewhere else.
That's a good point.
So is that what?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. It's almost like an improvisation within the confines of structure. You're going somewhere. It's an experiment. This works, this doesn't. And when I get there, I'll make that decision based off the information I don't have right now.
100%.
So, yeah. But get the help. Get someone who's maybe been in the trenches a little bit and is like, here's what it's like. It's not easy. Right? It's simple. It's not easy. They're different.
Mm.
Sure.
Wonderful.